It was supposed to be just another Tuesday taping. The cameras were rolling, the audience was cheering. Ellen DeGeneres bounded onto her stage with that infectious energy that had made her America's favorite daytime host. But in the third row, sitting quietly beside his grandmother, 8-year-old Charlie Martinez clutched a folded piece of paper that would change everything. The Ellen DeGeneres Show studio hummed with its familiar warmth. Soft blue and white lights bathed the stage in welcoming hues, while the iconic Ellen logo glowed behind the host's chair. Ellen wore her signature style, a crisp white shirt under a powder blue blazer paired with dark jeans and white sneakers. Her blonde hair caught the studio lights as she waved to the enthusiastic crowd of 200. "Welcome, welcome, everybody," Ellen called out, her voice carrying that joy that had made millions of viewers feel like they were visiting a friend. The audience erupted in applause, but Ellen had a gift for making even the largest crowds feel intimate. As the opening music faded and Ellen began her monologue, the cameras swept across the audience, capturing smiles and laughter. But during her second joke about airline food, Ellen's attention was drawn to something in the third row. A small boy wasn't laughing. He wasn't even looking at her. Instead, he was staring down at something in his hands, his shoulders shaking slightly. Ellen paused mid-sentence. In 15 years of hosting, she had developed an instinct for reading her audience, and something about this child's posture set off every alarm in her heart. "You know what?" Ellen said, abandoning her planned joke. "I think I want to meet some of you beautiful people." She stepped down from the stage, her wireless microphone picking up her voice as she moved into the audience. The cameras followed, unsure where this was heading. Ellen's producer, Andy, stood behind the control room glass, his hand hovering over the commercial button. Ellen walked directly to the third row, where the small boy sat next to an elderly woman who had tears streaming down her face. "Hi there," Ellen said gently, kneeling beside their seats. Her voice had completely changed from her performance tone to something much softer. "What's your name, sweetheart?" The boy looked up, and Ellen's breath caught. He was painfully thin, his dark hair wispy and uneven. A colorful knit cap covered most of his head, but Ellen could see the telltale signs underneath. His eyes, though, were what stopped her cold. They held a wisdom no 8-year-old should possess. "Charlie," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Charlie," Ellen repeated warmly. "That's a strong name, and you must be Charlie's grandmother." The older woman nodded, wiping her eyes with a tissue. "Rosa Martinez," she said, with a slight accent. "We came from Tucson. Charlie has been wanting to meet you for so long." Ellen noticed Charlie was still clutching that piece of paper, holding it like it contained something precious. The edges were worn from being folded and unfolded countless times. "What do you have there, Charlie?" Ellen asked, her instincts telling her this was important. Charlie looked at his grandmother, who nodded encouragingly. "It's my list," he said quietly. "Your list?" "My wish list," Charlie clarified, and something in the way he said those words made the entire studio hold its breath. The cameras continued rolling, but this was no longer television. This was something deeper unfolding in real time. Ellen's producer made a decision that would define this moment. "Keep the cameras running." "Can I see your list, Charlie?" Ellen asked gently. Charlie hesitated, looking again at his grandmother. Rosa placed her weathered hand on his shoulder and whispered something in Spanish. Slowly, carefully, Charlie unfolded the paper and handed it to Ellen. Ellen took the list and began to read silently. As her eyes moved down the page, her expression transformed. The professional smile disappeared, replaced by something raw and vulnerable. Her hands began to tremble slightly. The studio fell completely silent. 200 audience members sat frozen, watching Ellen's face as she processed whatever was written on that small piece of paper. Ellen read the list once, then twice. When she looked back at Charlie, her eyes were glistening with tears she wasn't trying to hide. Charlie, Ellen said, her voice thick with emotion. Did you write this yourself? Charlie nodded. With Grandma Rosa's help, he said. But all the ideas are mine. Ellen looked at the paper again, then at Rosa, who was now crying openly. Mrs. Martinez, Ellen said softly, can you tell me about Charlie? Rosa took a shaky breath. Charlie has brain cancer, she said, her voice barely steady. Glioblastoma. The doctors say, she paused, struggling to find words. They say we should make every day count. Ellen closed her eyes for a moment, gathering herself. When she opened them, she was no longer Ellen the entertainer. She was just Ellen, a woman facing a child who was fighting for his life. Charlie, Ellen said, your list is beautiful. Would you like me to read some of it to everyone here? Charlie's eyes widened. You would do that? I would be honored, Ellen said, standing and holding the paper like it was made of gold. Number 1, Ellen read aloud, her voice carrying clearly through the silent studio. Meet Ellen DeGeneres, and tell her she makes my grandma laugh when she's sad. Ellen looked down at Charlie with a trembling smile. Well, we can check that one off, can't we? The audience made soft sounds of appreciation, but it was gentle, reverent. Number 2, Ellen continued, see the ocean and build the biggest sand castle ever. Number 3, eat ice cream for breakfast without getting in trouble. Number 4, teach my grandma how to play video games. Number 5, go to Disneyland and meet Mickey Mouse. Ellen's voice was growing stronger as she read, but when she reached number 6, she stopped completely. She stared at the paper for a long moment, then at Charlie, then back at the paper. The silence stretched on. What's number 6, Ellen? Someone in the audience called out softly. Ellen took a deep breath that everyone in the studio could hear. Number 6, she said, her voice breaking. Hug my mom and dad one more time. The intake of breath from the audience was audible. Several people gasped. Others brought their hands to their hearts. The weight of those words settled over the studio like a blanket of shared grief. Ellen knelt back down beside Charlie. Charlie, sweetheart, she said gently, where are your mom and dad? They're in heaven, Charlie said, with the matter-of-fact acceptance that only children possess. They died in a car accident when I was 5. That's why I live with Grandma Rosa now. Ellen closed her eyes, and for a moment, the woman who had spent her career making people laugh was completely overcome. When she opened her eyes, she was crying openly. I'm so sorry, Charlie, Ellen whispered. It's okay, Charlie said, reaching out to pat Ellen's hand with a gesture so pure it broke something open in everyone watching. Grandma Rosa says they're watching me from heaven and they want me to be happy. Ellen looked at the paper again. There are more things on your list, she said. Number 7, make someone smile when they're crying. Number 8, tell Grandma Rosa I love her every single day. Number 9, see snow and catch snowflakes on my tongue. Ellen paused at number 10, and her breath caught completely. Number 10, help other kids who are sick know they're not alone. The studio was completely silent, except for the sound of people quietly crying. Ellen stood up and walked to the center of the stage, still holding Charlie's list. You know what, everybody? Ellen said, addressing the entire studio. Charlie has just taught me something incredible. This list isn't just about wishes, it's about hope. It's about choosing to focus on love and joy and connection even when life is unimaginably hard. She walked back to Charlie. Sweetheart, I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it. Would it be okay if we tried to help you with some of these wishes? Charlie's eyes went wide with wonder. Really? You would do that? Really, Ellen said. But first, I want to do something right now. Number 7. You wanted to make someone smile when they're crying? Charlie nodded. Ellen gestured to the audience. Look around, Charlie. Look at all these people. They're crying, but they're also smiling. Because of you. Because of your beautiful heart and your brave spirit." She knelt down again, this time taking both of Charlie's small hands in hers. "And number 8, telling Grandma Rosa you love her every day. I think that's the most important thing on this whole list." Charlie turned to his grandmother and said in clear, strong voice, "Ti amo." "Buela Rosa, eres mi persona favorita en todo el rosa. Eres mi persona favorita en todo el rosa." Rosa dissolved into tears, pulling Charlie into a hug that seemed to encompass all the love in the world. But Ellen wasn't done. "You know what, Charlie?" Ellen said. "I have an idea about number 3. Andy," she called to her producer, "can we get some ice cream? The good stuff." Within minutes, Ellen's production team had brought out bowls of ice cream in every flavor imaginable. And there in the middle of the Ellen DeGeneres Show stage, surrounded by cameras and studio lights, Ellen DeGeneres and 8-year-old Charlie Martinez ate ice cream for breakfast. "Now this," Ellen said, taking a big spoonful of chocolate chip, "is how breakfast should always be." Charlie giggled, the first truly joyful sound he had made all day. "Grandma Rosa, try the strawberry. It tastes like happiness." For the next 15 minutes, the most watched daytime talk show in America became an ice cream party. Ellen asked Charlie about his favorite flavors, his favorite games, his favorite memories with Grandma Rosa. Charlie answered with enthusiasm, his personality shining through as he forgot about cameras and audiences and just enjoyed being a kid. But Ellen had one more surprise. "Charlie," she said as they finished their ice cream, "I want to tell you something. When I was young, I was scared a lot. I didn't think I was brave enough to do anything important." Charlie listened intently. "But do you know what I learned? Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Being brave means you keep loving people even when your heart is breaking. And Charlie, you are the bravest person I have ever met." Ellen reached into her blazer pocket and pulled out something small and shiny. "I want to give you this," she said, placing a small pin in Charlie's palm. It was Ellen's personal pin, one she wore every day, a small silver heart with the word kindness engraved on it. "This pin has been with me through every show, every laugh, every tear," Ellen said, "and I want you to have it because you've shown me what real kindness looks like." Charlie stared at the pin with wonder, then looked back at Ellen. "Can I give you something too?" "Of course." Charlie reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn toy car, red with white racing stripes. "This was my dad's when he was little," he said. "Grandma Rosa gave it to me. I want you to have it so you remember that even when people go to heaven, love stays here." Ellen took the tiny car with trembling hands. "Charlie, I will treasure this forever." "Can I hug you now?" Charlie asked. Ellen's answer was to open her arms wide. When they finally separated, Ellen had one more announcement. "Charlie, I want you to know something. Every single wish on your list is going to come true. The ocean, Disneyland, the snow, all of it. But more than that, you've already accomplished number 10. Right now, there are kids watching this show who feel scared and alone, and you've just shown them they're not. You've shown them what brave looks like." 2 weeks later, Charlie got to see the ocean for the first time. Ellen was there, holding his hand as his feet touched the sand. Charlie spent hours building sand castles, each one more elaborate than the last, while Ellen helped him collect shells and chase waves. A month later, they flew to Colorado to see snow. Charlie caught snowflakes on his tongue and made snow angels, laughing with pure joy as Ellen showed him how to make the perfect snowball. Charlie lived for 8 more months, 8 months filled with adventures, with laughter, with daily timos to Grandma Rosa and video game lessons that left them both giggling. 8 months that were a gift, not just to him, but to everyone who had witnessed his courage that day in Ellen's studio. The pin Ellen gave him never left his side. He was wearing it when he passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by Rosa and his collection of toy cars from the show. At Charlie's memorial service, Ellen spoke about love, about how an 8-year-old boy had taught her that hope isn't foolish, it's essential, that choosing joy in the face of sorrow isn't denial, it's the most profound act of rebellion against despair. Charlie didn't just have a wish list, Ellen said. He had a blueprint for living fully. He showed us that even when time is short, love is infinite. Even when life is hard, kindness matters. Even when we're afraid, we can still choose to be brave. The episode with Charlie aired exactly as it happened, with no editing to remove the tears, the silences, or the moments when entertainment gave way to something deeper. It became the most watched episode in the show's history, not because it was polished or perfect, but because it was real. Ellen kept Charlie's toy car on her desk for the rest of her career. Every day before she went on stage, she would hold it and remember that her job wasn't just to make people laugh. It was to remind them of their own capacity for love, for courage, for hope. The Charlie Martinez Foundation, established by Ellen and Rosa, continues to grant wishes for terminally ill children. Every child receives a small pin with the word kindness and knows they're part of Charlie's legacy. Rosa often visits the foundation, sharing stories of her grandson, who taught the world that bravery comes in the smallest packages. And somewhere, perhaps in heaven or in the hearts of everyone who knew his story, Charlie Martinez continues building sandcastles and catching snowflakes, teaching angels what brave looks like. That day, laughter paused, but love spoke louder than any words ever could.